thank you all for coming tonight to help celebrate the launch of their new book, Focalizing Dynamic Links. I would like to begin by thanking the collaborators who put on this wonderful event. Chris Lano, Barry Lynch, and Nadia Payoba. And of course to thank the support of the Focalizing Institute for putting on this wonderful night. My name is Sam, and I'm standing here with my best friend Nick, and we are honored to open up this event. Nick and I met Michael at a workshop about 2 years ago, where we also met Barry. And we were, like most of you, if not all of you, very profoundly impacted by this work and very deeply affected in our lives. We're so happy and grateful to be here, but when Michael asked us to do this, my first thought was, well, why? And I wasn't sure, as grateful as I felt, why Nick and I would be up here right now. And we had helped to facilitate a workshop in the past, but I didn't quite understand. I asked Michael, I said, of course, this is a great honor, we'd be happy to do it, but what do you want us to do? And he said, well, just talk about your friendship.
So I'm Nick. I'm noticing actually that first workshop that I met Michael at, there's a bunch of people in this room that I recognize from that workshop, which is really nice. So basically, I've known Sam since I was 6 months old. Sam's a year older than me. We just ended up on the same floor in Manhattan, and our parents traded babysitting duties, basically. And so, I've known Sam as a friend over so many different periods of time, and one of the kind of amazing things that I think is really special about our friendship is that I was thinking about this more. There was a stability that I always got from those phone calls. And it was just clear that something kind of fed us about it. So kind of reading the book and then thinking about our relationship, it was just, I think, kind of beautiful to read some words put to some things that I've felt with Sam. And then also to feel inspired. I think we both feel inspired of, if we bring more and more source energy into our relationship, where it can go, and what's going to blossom. And now, today I see Sam more than I ever have in my entire life. So it's
thankful and honored to be a part of this. I've known Michael for a long time, and it's nice to be able to share what I love to do, which is to sing. Part of this, and this first song actually was a song that you'll probably recognize, but it for me it was really about bringing this group, because this group is so much about people working together and bringing something from the past, or opening yourself up to a place that maybe you haven't been or would like to go, or to find something new about that. And this song for me welcomes all that. Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh, so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts can remember and follow.
Thank you. How about another round of applause for Chris Vasquez? And without further ado, Dr. Michael Picucci and Dr. Barry Lipson.
Welcome. I can't tell you how excited I am to be sharing this evening with you all, this book launch with you all, this milestone on a journey. And I just want to give you like a little picture of this particular journey. About 14 months ago, I guess it was, I was late on an article for goodtherapy.org I'm a contributor to. And I finally sat down to get in my article, and this stuff just started coming out of me based on recent work I had been doing. And I got excited, I just wrote it all out, and then the next person I saw happened to be Scott, who's in the back of the room. And I shared the article with Scott on my first draft, and Scott got to the second page and said, he said, "This is great." He said, "And it's at least 3 or 4 articles. You can't put all this in one article." So I thought, oh, okay. I often need that kind of help. And so I made it a 4-part series for goodtherapy.org that was really well received. And by the time I was finishing the second article, it just came to me that, wow, there's a book here. And not only is there a book here, but there's a book here that could be very short and very concise, explaining a technology that I'm learning to understand better and better and better. And so that got really interesting. And then by the time I got to the 4th article, it was a trilogy of books, because it couldn't be done in one book. It had to be done in. So the first one was this green one, which came out at the end of last year. And the second one we're celebrating tonight. The third one is in process. So tonight, I invite you all into that shared journey with me. Just so I'm kind of reporting to you where I'm landing with it at the moment, and just inviting your energy, support, whatever you care to bring to wherever this may go from here. But the best way I know how to do that is not really in words and not even in the written book, although the written book is helpful. It's more of a experiential process. Because if you don't understand the experiential aspect of this technology, or even have a scintilla of a sense of the process, a little kind of felt sense in your being of the process, when you read the book, it won't be as meaningful to you. So I'm going to ask if you would all mind doing what we call in the book a body drop, meaning just taking a minute to kind of find yourself in the seat comfortably, get a sense of the chair you're sitting on. And, in a way, one of the things that this does is it just helps drop our energy from our very active minds and so forth, and everyday stuff, down into our body, connecting with gravity. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, it's really better because there's less visual stimulation, because most of us are not accustomed to looking into our bodies. Or just squinting your eyes. And just follow my instructions for about 2 minutes, okay? Good. So I'm going to ask you all to just take a minute to notice in kind of a curious way any felt sense of your body on the chair, maybe your buttocks or your legs touching the chair or your back, the soles of your feet touching the floor. And maybe just now shifting and take the attention of your focus to your breath, and just curiously noticing your breath as it happens to be breathing right now, and just letting it be the perfect way to be breathing right now. And then coming up to your head, and just allowing for what I call head noise, allowing for any of the chatter that we normally hear in our heads to just float away. Or imagine suspending it 5 or 10 feet away. So you can be as present as possible for your body and your breath, and just kind of curiously noticing. Suspending all those voices of judgment, cynicism, voices of fear, all that stuff. So we can just be present right here, right now, for our bodies and our beings. And maybe taking a second now to notice if there was any moment in Chris's song that he just sang to us that for whatever reason touched you or was meaningful to you. And if there was, just allowing yourself to recall that memory and to connect with that memory of that moment. And if nothing in the song did, perhaps any lovely moment in your life. Maybe a special time in nature. And again, just taking a curious notice of what's happening. And then I'm going to ask you to gently bring whatever your experience is now, to bring to what I call a landing. Okay? Not an ending, not a completion, just a landing to that little deeper level of consciousness, awareness of our bodies and our beings, so that we can re-engage on other levels and still have that alive and being, even as we're doing that, whether we notice it or not. And you can prepare to softly open your eyes as you're ready and reorient the light into the room. Mary, come have a seat. Before I invite Barry to take over a little bit, I would just like to do, one of the things, if you read the book, that you'll be being seeing as a focal point, is to create an intention for the evening, for a couple hours we're spending together. And I'm gonna just create something really simple so that I think you'll probably all be able to align yourself with it. But if you want to change it a little bit, feel perfectly free to just pull out how you'd like to change it. Okay, so the intention that I'm setting for us as a collective is that when we leave here tonight, that we're happy we were here. For whatever reason, we're happy we made the choice to come. And that perhaps something ignited inside of us that we may or may not even know that can manifest somewhere down the road in a good way. So that would be my intention. Does everyone feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I invite you all each to make a little private intention for yourself that you don't have to share with anyone or anything, but wherever you are in your life right now, if there is a little intention you could make yourself that perhaps the energy of this evening might be able to support in some mysterious way. To give yourself the opportunity to do that. And the last thing is I have a belief that those intentions can be manifested in you. If you have a belief that you could leave here tonight feeling like, we're glad you're here. Good. Good. Because as you'll read in the book, shared intention and shared belief is really what locks the focus of the energy moving forward. And we have that. So we already have the conditions of focalizing a dynamic link in place. So now let's just curiously see what happens with that. All right.
That's by Charles.
Pardon?
That's by Charles.
Okay, yes, thank you. So to bring our intentions for ourselves collectively, for our individual intentions, and for the loveliness of launching this book together, that I really, really appreciate you all coming together and joining at this point. I'm going to ask one of my mentors, and I don't know what to call you, Charles, but there's someone extraordinarily important in my life who has a Native American background, and Charles is going to offer a sacred song to help carry the energy of the room out into the world. At least that's my understanding.
Well, I've got to admit that with that inward turning to the eternal, as I call that, in that inner space, and your evocation, I suddenly landed myself back in my Mayan context. So there's an ancient Mayan chant that comes to mind, which addresses in the allness of that which is, I am everything. I am the darkness that is the light. I am the stillness that is the dance. And I'm the silence that is the cry. It's a beautiful old chant from the Mayan people that I've learned many years ago. And for some reason I was, again, knowing the book and the work, I was instructed by my own inner guidance to bring this particular rattle to me tonight. And this is a very old Northwest Coast Indian rattle. And this is, we have the god Janus in our world of January. And Janus is a two-headed god, looking forward, looking backward. And in the native people, the eternal is always dancing with us. There really is no past, there really is no future. So what's dancing here in this moment is present. And years ago, the elders, so when you shake that rattle, you call the spirits. When you shake that rattle, be careful what it is you're doing and know why you're shaking the rattle. So the Rada wanted to come tonight. And some of you know this is a full moon night. How many of you, be honest, how many were aware that it's a full moon? Okay. Well, it's a very special time to be having a gathering, a launch such as this. Because all things that come into form and then require releasing start somewhere in the dark of the moon, in a dark place. One never knows what's feeding into that which becomes inspiration, and because someone that particular dream wants to find its way up into the now time in the world. So those of us who follow the cycles of the moon with our lives, we're very serious about what I seed in the new moon, because it's going to come to fruition in the full moon. And what you've been doing and what the two of you combined together, we're here for the launch tonight. And I think it's a launch, in my sensing, because of the heartedness, the full heartedness of this work. With our collaboration, adding to what they've done, we're going to really send this book out in a very special way. There's so many images woven through Michael and Barry's work here that speak of the ancient circle of life, that all things are connected. We are all relations. So, one more little cookie here. This is the launch. So this is an old Navajo traveling song. And these traveling songs are usually sung at the end of the ceremony, because everybody's going off home. They've all come together to celebrate. You've all been spirited. You've learned something from your neighbors and all. And you're going back home, and you're changed in some way. And it has a horse gait. A lot of folks are on the horses. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya. I'm sure everyone has done the home of one of the books. So imagine yourself going off to home with your book under your arm and you're singing a song. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Oh, all right.
Starts with a quote from Albert Einstein. The problems cannot be solved at the same level of thinking that created them. We need new human technologies that respectfully and effectively bridge the arc from outdated paradigms to emerging new awareness. Focalizing dynamic links has been presented as such a technology. One possibility for addressing some of the greatest challenges we face in sustaining a continued existence for ourselves and for those still to come. Dynamic links are characterized by the energetic engagement of constant change for our collective well-being. They offer the promise of gracing and assisting our human evolution as more people learn to embrace and engage in this manner. With globalization, the ubiquitous internet, and the proliferation of social networks, the opportunity for forming dynamic links is expanding exponentially. The next leap forward could start in many places. all of us are gradually being met by a new world of promise and possibility. It seems we're at a point of divergence with two choices before us. We can continue to engage with the world as we have in the past, and if we do, that we are likely to realize the insanity of repeatedly getting the same poor results until a sustainable existence is beyond our reach. Or we can take the other path, one that leads forward in such a way that we all thrive. If we choose this other way, localizing dynamic links is a method for supporting it. Dynamic linking gives going viral an expanded meaning and can influence those with whom we collectively engage in the future and how we might interact differently with more responsibility and joy. Imagine a future world interconnected through cooperation, consciousness, and sustainability. Seeing ourselves as more similar than different, we might realize that we are all in this together and that also our collective survival is contingent on each of us thriving individually. Recognizing our connectedness, we may find that prosperity and abundance with one another is our natural state. Rather than attempting to dominate the environment, we could see ourselves as stewards of the planet we inhabit. Rather than fight against destructive conditioned thinking, we might then each become a compassionate custodian of our individual mind, using it to craft appropriate responses to whatever we are alerted to by our physical senses. There is no specific call to action, as that would suppose that we know what it is others should do. In fact, we have no idea what they should do. The point of engaging in dynamic links is to connect with each other through the integrity and authenticity of who we all really are, so that we can each live from our inner conditions in the best of possible ways. May we continue to find new ways to live, consciously connected to the movement of every moment, finding the foundation of new principles for stepping out into the unknown, allowing a new reality to manifest through us. With little memory of an earlier time feeling unempowered, defeated, insignificant, or disregarded, the result instead would be a thriving populace, living sustainably across all measures of being, connected, contributing, and conscious. I want to invite Michael. There's a couple places in the book that we speak of a concept, and this conclusion certainly speaks to that as well, of something in the book we call a win-win-win situation. And we may be familiar with win-win situations, but I want to invite Michael to speak a bit about that third win in that statement.
Maybe to make it most concrete for me, our meeting here tonight, our ritual, one might say, coming together to launch a book and to launch concepts and ideas and connectedness, that we all shared an intention for the evening. And we may have created some private intentions as well. And we shared that we had at least a little bit of belief that those intentions could be realized. If that happens, then we win as the hosts of the evening because we're going to be gratified, really gratified if that happened. You win as the guest of the evening because you're going to go home and feeling gratified and feeling good in some little way too. And the third win is the collective. The third win is that unseen universe that's going to be affected by all of our energies. That's the third win in dynamic linking. So we're always conscious, not really, I would say always conscious of the thing, but underlying, the consciousness is always there, that what we're looking for, the win-win-win situation, where everyone and the collective of all people in some way is affected positively. But
The dynamic linking logo is a graphic experience of focalizing a dynamic link. It starts with the focalizing star at the center, where we each find our grounding and connection to source energy. From that grounded center, we bring out into our experience what wants to be in each moment. When we do that, we also connect with others, operating from the authentic space of that grounded center. And from this place, we come together and operate as the one unified and collective entity that we always really are. Connected physically in a circle of energy. Yet every dynamic link is different, informed by the individuals in the link and the shared purpose that brings them together.